now. A war of words in the White House.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
We're hearing reaction following the fiery exchange between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Hey friends, we're heading into the weekend with one day super warm and then the other super cool. Can you guess? I'll have that forecast coming up.
Former Fairfax County police officer sentenced for killing a suspected shoplifter.
It's accountability. I don't think anybody should be above the law.
The message from Timothy Johnson's family tonight. And another round of post-check emails from billionaire Elon Musk when federal workers should be looking at their inboxes.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on DC News Now at 9. I'm Susan Tran. Chris Flanagan has a night off. Developing tonight, a fiery exchange in the Oval Office.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful.
More words at the White House between President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Ukrainian President Zelensky blowing up talks to end the Russian war in Ukraine and ending with no contract for U.S. to mine key minerals in the country. DC News Now's Ben Dennis is live outside the Ukrainian embassy. And Ben, Republicans backing Trump, but there's plenty of local support for Zelensky. What are they saying?
Again, a good way to put it, that war of words over the war inside of the Oval Office. Nobody expected this heated back and forth between President Zelensky and President Trump today, and Vice President J.D. Vance. Republicans, many of them, say that the president struck an okay, proper tone, but those gathered outside of the embassy today felt embarrassment. Horns honking. Signs with words of support outside the Ukrainian embassy in Georgetown today.
We're anti-dictators.
Ukrainian President Zelensky had just left the White House after sparring with President Trump and Vice President Vance.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong.
I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Back at the embassy,
I think President Trump and Vance, Vice President Vance, are unrespectful with a person that deserves all the respect of the world.
Amid the back and forth, Sophia LaFontaine continues to feel heartbroken over Russia's invasion.
What happened to them? It should not be. Ukraine is a wonderful country, and we need to support them.
Republicans like Senator Lindsey Graham are proud of Trump's comments.
We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again.
Maryland's sole Republican Congressman Andy Harris said this calls for diplomatic leadership, not grandstanding and performative behavior on the world stage. But Virginia Democrat Senator Mark Warner said Trump is abandoning our allies and embracing our adversaries. Later tonight, Trump doubled down.
We're not looking to go into a 10-year war. He's looking to go on and fight. We're looking to end in death.
President Trump, again, in his own words, hoping for a ceasefire deal to be struck. Now, President Zelensky in Ukraine, he's worried about Russian President Vladimir Putin putting up his side of the bargain after previous deals have not been honored. In Northwest D.C. and Georgetown, Ben Dennis, DC News Now.
Pink petals in the district. It's not from cherry trees, but the Japanese plum trees are in bloom, and you can find them near the D.C. War Memorial. Officials say they are the very first trees to bloom on the National Mall each year. The cherry blossoms will turn the district pink very soon. In fact, the peak bloom expected to be the last weekend in March. Chief Meteorologist Janessa Webb is here, and you're thinking a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I'm going March 20th. Nothing has changed for me, so yeah.
And you're pretty accurate, so I'm going with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident on that one. And the reason being is we have warmer air that's moving across the country. I am not calling the official end of winter yet. Everybody's waiting, right? I'm not doing it yet. I need to see at least another week of our trends being consistent with all the warmer air. But folks, I don't see another big cold snap happening in our long-range models at this point. Live camera right now, it's a beautiful Friday evening. Hopefully you're going to step outside for maybe a few moments for tonight into tomorrow morning. You're not going to miss the warmth that continues to surge in due to a southerly flow of our winds, 15 to 25, nearly 30 miles per hour out towards areas like western Maryland at this point. And we continue to see above average overnight lows. So 48 to about 50 across the entire region. With no storm systems really approaching. We do have our next cold front that's going to come in, but this one is going to be a dry cold front and just allow for winds to be pretty blustery for your Saturday. No big complaints. We have this warm up, temperatures above average for tomorrow, and then a dramatic cool down for your Sunday. More on this extended forecast coming up.
All right, Janessa. New tonight in the district, 6 people taken to the hospital when this bus crashed into a utility pole and then nearly hitting a building in northeast D.C. It happened just after 6 tonight. Now, the building did not have any structural damage, and this was an apartment building. You can see crews working there. Developing now, sentencing day in Northern Virginia. A former Fairfax County police officer will spend 3 years in prison for shooting and killing a man suspected of shoplifting. We're finally hearing from him and the victim's family. Take a look at this video. It's the beginning of that chase out of a store there in Tyson's Corner Center. Wesley Shiflett would then shoot and kill Timothy Johnson, who is suspected of stealing some sunglasses. DC News Now's Max Marcillo was in the courtroom and tells us more about the reaction from the victim's mom.
Is historical and unprecedented, and for that I am grateful.
Surrounded by family and attorneys, Melissa Johnson reacting to the sentence handed down 2 years after her son Timothy was shot and killed. Get on the ground! Wesley Shiflett, the former Fairfax County officer convicted of reckless handling of a firearm, sentenced to 5 years, 3 in prison, 2 suspended. He's the second Fairfax County cop ever convicted for their role in a shooting.
It's accountability. You know, I don't think anybody should be above the law.
Prosecutors argued Shiflett's recklessness warranted jail time. The defense read from dozens of letters supporting Shiflett, calling him a remarkable human being with this one blemish on his life. When Judge Randy Bellows handed down the sentence, he said Johnson's criminal past did not make him any less entitled to survival.
In those moments where you have to make life and death decisions, your badge does not exonerate you from thinking about the life that you're taking on the other end.
Meanwhile, Shiflett's defense attorney criticized the sentencing, saying he fears what it could mean for policing here in Fairfax County.
So basically the message is, if an officer follows his training and uses his firearm according to how he is trained, you still risk going to jail for years of your life.
The defense will file an appeal and hopes to get Shiflett out on bond. That hearing expected on Thursday. Just before learning his sentence, Shiflett saying, "No words can alleviate that grief, but I am sorry for their loss."
Hearing his words give condolences made me cry, and I appreciate that. God bless him. God bless his family. No one should have to suffer through the things that we've gone through on either side of this, and it has been a tragedy, but it should be a way that we can come out of this a better community and a better people, a better judicial system, you know, even for the police officers as well, too.
In Fairfax County, Max Marcella, DC News Now.
From Virginia, we head to Maryland and take a look at this tragic crash here in Montgomery County. A driver is killed when her SUV slams into this tractor trailer. The crash happened at the intersection of Norbeck and Lay Hill Roads. It happened this afternoon, and investigators say the tractor trailer ended up dragging the SUV for several hundred feet before it could come to a stop. The intersection was closed for several hours as police investigated. Some of the world's best figure skaters will be in the district this weekend. It's all for an event honoring the victims of last month's mid-air helicopter plane collision. Olympians like Nancy Kerrigan, Nathan Chen, and Peggy Fleming, they will all be performing there at the Capital One Arena on Sunday. The event will be hosted by Olympic champions Brian Boitano and Kristi Yamaguchi. All the money raised will go to the victims' families and first responders. Tickets, they are still available and start at $30. In Maryland, firefighters rushing to rescue a man trapped inside of a burning home in Montgomery County. It happened in North Bethesda this afternoon. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg has the latest from the scene.
The fire happened just before 4 o'clock here in the house behind me. We're told it started in the basement. You can still smell the smoke in the air. Firefighters say one woman self-evacuated while another man was trapped inside. The woman who got out and neighbors were able to get some dogs out of the house. Firefighters found the man unconscious in the basement. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The woman was taken with serious but non-life-threatening injuries.
Firefighters did encounter some pretty heavy smoke conditions. Fire showing was evident upon our arrival.
65 firefighters worked the scene. After putting out the flames, some went door to door, educating neighbors and offering to install smoke alarms. Pete Pieringer with Montgomery County Fire and Rescue says the fire caused a few $100,000 worth of damage.
Unfortunately, we found a smoke alarm, but it didn't have a battery on it in it, and it was found on the first floor, but it was inoperable, did not work. So we want to remind people that how important it is to have a working smoke alarm. I don't know if it would have made a difference in this case, but likely would have.
Now again, we know the fire started in the basement, but the exact cause is still under investigation. In North Bethesda, Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
They're set to get another email tomorrow requesting their recent accomplishments. That's according to a source speaking to the Associated Press. It is a renewed attempt from billionaire Elon Musk. His first email that was sent last week, it caused a lot of chaos and confusion through multiple agencies, with some department heads telling workers not to respond. Then the Office of Personnel Management saying it was voluntary. But Musk has threatened to fire any employee who does not reply.